I'm Kier.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Jay from Gallifrey Public Radio,
a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to right now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready, because geekiness begins in 3,
2,
1.
This is it. The part of your week where you get to put your headphones on, relax, and listen to a bunch of geeks geek out about geeky things. They're passionate.
Did you know Magic Mike XXL is actually on the top 25 list of this year's best movie?
They're witty.
He loves him some Katy Perry because she kissed a girl and she liked it.
They're crazy.
I like Nickelback personally, but, I'm the fuddy-duddy who likes episode 1.
And sometimes I leave you wondering, what the f***?
I'm pretty sure that here we were starting the hashtag movement, bring back Slave Feral.
Welcome to the GonnaGeek.com podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 128 of the official GonnaGeek.com podcast. My name is Steven John Drew, and with me today is the whole crew again. Stargate Pioneer.
I am here. I am hot, and I am gonna geek.
Okay, we also have Chris Farrell.
Yo.
And we also have the one and only French-Canadian sensation, the JS Meister General.
Yo ho ho in a barrel of rum.
How's everybody's weeks going so far?
Not bad.
I need more caffeine.
It's only Monday. It's only Monday. Can we get this week to go any faster, please? Please?
No. Yes, of course we can. Of course we can. I thought that it was Friday.
If the week goes faster, you know what's the ultimate consequence of the week going faster? It starts over.
No.
So ultimately, it's an ever looping hellhole.
That's true.
That's
It
just
is.
described.
This is described life in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. But then I thought better of it because I didn't want to depress people.
I win the lottery. I'm looking forward to that $1 billion payout.
Hey guys, let me tell you something. If I win
did you
the
see
lottery,
the math behind that? That if they gave every American citizen an equal share of that Super Bowl,
The wrong math, you mean? The
That
wrong math?
was so bad.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
Yeah. Oh man, so many people started posting that too. That was insane. That was insane. How many people? It was like, you guys realize that if you just break down the basic concept of how a lottery works, there's no way that math could possibly be right.
Everybody
Let me tell
gets
you something,
$4
guys.
million.
let me tell you something. If I win the
4.3, right?
lottery, if I win it, we're all getting fancy studios because I'm footing the bill.
Maybe I already have a fancy studio.
I want my
don't.
studio to be in a lot, like a yacht, a big yacht.
Yes.
Well, I'm not giving you that much.
Well, I thought that you were just going to pay to fly us in everywhere. That's what I thought.
Well, I'm going to buy a private jet, and we're going to build a studio here in West Virginia where nobody wants to go, and we're going to make that our studio.
Oh man. Oh man.
The state where it
Awesome.
has one of the only quiet zones in the United States. Like, you can't have a cell phone, you can't get any TV reception or whatever because they get that big radio telegraph dish on there.
Right, you are, sir.
Yeah, so no, I don't want to be where I can't get the signal. That's
I know, I
just
don't
not
live
fun.
anywhere.
The signal? See, he
I don't
admitted
live
it.
anywhere
It's
near
the
there.
signal. The special NASA signal.
But you do know what else West Virginia has that's good times? You can anonymously win the lottery, one of 6 states in the United States where you don't have to declare your name when you win. It can be kept secret.
So here in BC, you have there's part of the rules that you actually have to agree to the marketing campaigns and all that crap. And there's people who just got this close to the deadline to claim because they wanted to fight it that much. I think that it's kind of stupid because up here in Canada, you don't get taxed on it.
It's
Oh,
because
wow, that must be nice.
people get harassed immensely.
Yeah,
You become
Yes, they
a
do.
huge
Exactly.
target. Didn't you hear about? I think it was in Israel or something. Somebody had one, and he said it was the worst thing that ever happened to him because he gets like daily harassment for money.
Yeah, no, I can see that. It's kind of like how we all harass SP every day too. So
every single day. It's relentless. You guys just need to go away. Come on. Go.
I'm working on it. If I win the lottery, I'll go away. In fact, I was talking to my buddy at work about it. We decided if either of us win, the plan is you keep showing up at work for about 3 months, but you get increasingly more belligerent every day until they want to fire you. And then when they fire you, you can just be like, fine, F you, I won the lottery.
I like it.
Just walk out.
But doesn't your job, Chris, have like some consequence on the American people?
No.
Well, everybody at my work was doing the same thing. Matter of fact, we joined an office pool. A lot of people do that. So, you throw in whatever amount and then you go and you have a better chance because you're buying more numbers, but you get a portion of the entire lottery.
A better chance, 0.00001%.
Right. But if you hate your job, if you hate your job that much that it's just they just throw money, and you don't have to. You don't have to buy the tickets with the money they give you. You just say you do.
I don't hate my job, SP, so I don't understand where you're coming from.
On my tax return, I just check the mark that says pay extra taxes. That's all I do.
That's your version of the lottery every year. Yeah! Cha-ching! Cha-ching! Yeah!
I'll just pay tax. Oh, my, that was funny.
Well, let's just go ahead and roll into the news. Shall we do that?
Oh, please, before I start crying from laughing.
Alrighty.
Whoa.
Alrighty, so in the news this week, we will start off with myself because, well, once again, I kind of screwed myself and made a little bit of a bar on the YouTube side of things where you can follow along with the agenda, and the bar actually says the order that we're going to go with. But then I remember that I can actually do this and then throw it over to Chris because he has the better news. I can just go ahead and switch it up. Chris, what do you have for your news? There's your ultimate blind toss.
Is this the new blind toss?
It could be, but
toss is the operative word here.
I can live with it.
All right, so what do you got going on, Chris?
So we're all relatively mature people, right? We can talk about sex and not laugh and giggle like school children, right?
No.
Maybe? Oh, well, hell. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to try and do that. This is some pretty interesting science news that came out. I got this story from the Inquisitor. There is a new tool out there that basically allows men to turn off their fertility. It's called the sperm switch. And instead of getting invasive vasectomies now, you can literally get a switch put into your scrotum that allows you to basically turn off the flow of reproductive fluid.
Turn off the
Yeah.
Turn off the flow, guys. I mean, here's the thing. It's interesting. It's hormone free. It's not permanent. It's a 30-minute outpatient surgery. So all those guys in the past that have been like, well, it's either the vasectomy or keep chancing birth control and things like that. It's a completely reversible method. It's pretty intriguing and it's pretty simple because it's literally just a switch.
Okay, so here's the situation with this. As a fellow who, let me put it this way. I am quite okay with the kid situation that I have. I am somebody who, I've got 2 kids. I'll admit it. We talk about these sort of things. Do we go down the V route? Give me a V. Give me a... No, I'm not going to do it. But do we
give you a vagina?
Do we go down the vasectomy route? So that is absolutely something to discuss. At first, I heard this and I'm like, you know what? If I'm thinking about a vasectomy, which I am thinking about whether or not I permanently want to not have kids. And then I'm like, it's a freaking switch. So like, what happens? Like I just knock it the wrong way or all of a sudden, like I change my mind on a whim, like it's a completely different mind process. But I was more so like, what about this? What about this switch? What if it accidentally happens? And then I actually read and watched the video and everything. And it's kind of a neat technology. There's a backup, like a safety switch. You can easily turn it off, but to turn it back on, you actually have to push a couple of different things from around the scrotum.
It's interesting in that regard. The fact that you can completely turn it back on. If you and the wife were to decide, say, a year from after you got the implants, you'd be like, you know what? Maybe we want to try again. You can turn it back on. And pretty much, I think they said anywhere between 3 to 6 months after you turn it on, you're completely sterile.
Yeah. And here's the other thing though that people might think about with that, because I originally, like I said, went towards the I don't know. I think it's the end all and be all if you do the vasectomy versus this, which is a multi-purpose. You can have it going. You can have it not going. That's a lot of the reasons why people choose vasectomies, though, is because they know that those are more likely reversible than the woman getting her tubes tied.
Right. So Suncast in the chat room brought up a point. He goes, but what about the side effects? How safe is it really? Well, it isn't here in America yet. This was a German company that's been talking about this. And I think it's in very early example stage and proof of concept stage. Once the FDA looks at it here, we'll have a completely different idea here in the States. But it's just a promise of something that could be coming in the future. I would not be running out right now to be like, hey, put this sperm switch in me right now.
No.
But I'm curious to see what all of the research shows. If it is as promising as they seem to indicate it is, I think it's a huge leap forward.
No,
So is the turn on switch like one of those safety switches on power tools, like a miter saw, sliding miter saw, where you have to put your hand and then your thumb and then your other hand and your thumb and then you put a foot somewhere and then actually rip it? Is that what it is when you turn it back on?
Yep.
That it's like 3 hands and 10 fingers or something like that?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it right on the head, or maybe not so much the head, maybe a little lower.
It's like the nuclear launch codes. You have to have 2 different keys and insert them at the same time and turn.
Insert the keys into your ow, I don't want that.
Yeah, no, I
Sounds
actually agree
painful.
though. I do genuinely think that it is a very neat thing, and you know, if, like Suncast said, how safe is it? If it ends up being safe, I think it is a great movement in technology and a great application for it.
So I'm not a doctor. Let's keep this in mind. But it basically works on the same principle as a vasectomy. The principle of the vasectomy is you snip something off so it can't go from point A to point B. This is a block that keeps it from going to point A to point B, and the body can adjust to having it come back, if that makes sense. So it makes sense from my layman's terms. Now, I'm really curious, like I said, to see what all the doctors and experts come up with. If it is as effective as they're claiming it is, huge leap forward.
And let's just put it out there this way. Forever, women who take birth control have dictated the lives. They'd be like, oh, I accidentally took a pill, or, oh, I accidentally poked a hole in your condom. This is the time for the man to finally get revenge. Oh, I accidentally flipped the switch.
Well, the problem is if you accidentally flip the switch, then you're screwed for about 3 to 6 months because you've got to wait for all of the goo to work its way out.
So
well, that's what
you're
I mean,
not
though.
screwed for 3 to 6 months. Is that what you mean?
You would be. You just have to practice different birth control methods. There's a variety of stuff out there, but this is one of the first ones that kind of puts a different twist on things.
So you do it in advance, and then eventually you're like, I don't know, hun. Why can't we get pregnant? I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
It's me.
Yeah, but then that backfires, and the wife's like, "We need to go get all these expensive fertility tests." And you're like, "Oh crap,
Flip it
is
back
it worth
on
it?"
for the test.
You young guys, it's funny, right? So, us older guys, we don't care because kids ain't happening. That's just the way it is. Kids, no, not happening in the SP household anymore.
That's what he says now. A year from now, SP's like, "Oh damn it."
Oh no, I gotta give up my podcast studio because we got another kid. Oh.
Which of these 4 were the first to end up getting the switch? This guy, SP. Well, Chris, I'm actually really, really glad that you did end up bringing this on here. And it is something that I have to say, kudos. Very good article, a very interesting use of technology. And I think I will give you news of the night, even though it's the first news.
Hey guys,
So.
science is awesome. That's what it comes down to.
That's true. It is awesome. It is awesome. Almost as awesome as Twitter used to be, which it's not that great anymore. Twitter used to have its heyday. It was the thing. It was the next place to be. Yeah, sure, there's a good audience there, but a lot of people are migrating. You know, there's still, like I said, a decent pool. But Twitter is teasing the idea of a character expansion. Of course, as we all know, with Twitter messages for a long time, you've had to do 160 characters or less. Now, what you may not remember is that this actually stemmed from back in the days that Twitter was primarily done by text message before everybody had a data plan. I know that's hard to believe, but that was where Twitter really got its big break, because you could actually send a text to a specific number and it would put the tweet out there for you. You did a registration process. It was really neat. I enjoyed it at the time because I didn't have a data plan, and that's where the 160 character limit came from. But we have evolved, and I believe it was the CEO of Twitter ended up recently putting out a screenshot message that was essentially manipulating Twitter, how everybody has to manipulate it for longer messages, and is hinting at the idea that yes, there may indeed be a character expansion coming. For me personally, I think that this is gonna probably be their best bet in order to continue bringing back some of those folks, because I know that right now there's the Twitter culture that is currently there. They are looking for the short messages, but on the other hand, there's people like myself who aren't there anywhere near as much as I used to be, because I would rather go on Facebook or Instagram or Google Plus, where I can see a lot more than, hey, went and made a podcast with SP. Here's the link, right? Like, I would rather see a full sentence. I'm not 14 anymore.
But part of what makes Twitter so powerful is it's condensed. You get things quickly and at a glance. You get a headline and a link of where to go read something. So you get things in a quicker manner. It's not like Facebook where you slog through a mile of a bunch of crap. If you don't like something on Twitter, it's really easy to pass through because it's 140 characters. I kind of understand why some people might want the character increase, but that's part of what makes it so useful, especially as like a news tool and things like that.
And yes, it is 140 characters. Sorry, I said 160. I apologize.
You still get extremely flooded, though. It's very hard to find something interesting on Twitter.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. If you're following a bunch of people right now, everything's condensed and short. I don't want this to turn into like MySpace and stuff like that, where I'm following people. And this guy writes a 3-page book about how he feels about Star Wars. What he should do, and what Twitter's powerful for, he goes, hey, you want to see my thoughts on Star Wars? Go here. That's awesome. And I don't mind the fact that like DMs are unlimited characters now, because that's offline of main Twitter stuff. That's coordinating something with someone else. Main Twitter itself, the power is the short message.
My problem with Twitter is everything gets bumped so quickly. Yes. There was a time where people would post too many messages, and everybody was posting too many messages, so you'd never catch anything interesting. And I mean, this announcement of upgrading the characters, be it true or not true. I mean, the market in the last 2 or 3 days has continued dropping. I mean, the stock on this is horrible. It's gone from 69 as a high to a low of $19.
You know what's interesting though? In this article that I did read, it actually broke down how long it took Facebook in order to increase their character limit. And did you know that the unlimited, which is not actually unlimited, I think it's like 600 or 63,000 character limit, it was only November 2011 that they made that?
On Facebook?
No, yeah, sorry, on Facebook. Yeah, that was only November 2011 that they did that increase. Because to me, it seemed like it's been a lot longer that you could do that. But before that, it was in March 2009, Facebook increased to 5,000 characters maximum. And then they went to 420. 420 was March of 2009. And then they went to 5,000 a year after that. So.
But Facebook's a different kind of tool. Facebook, you expect to go and see a lot of that longer stuff now, where a bunch of photos nested together and all sorts of embedded stuff. Twitter, for me, is still that tool where, I'm reacting to something that just happened. I want to get a lot of quick reactions. I click on a hashtag to see what other people think about things. Twitter is an information aggregation tool, mostly for me, or bitching about things on the internet tool.
Here's what I would like to do. Me personally, for Twitter, I would like to be able to see if they're going to do it, because you're right. It is a different type of tool. And what is going to be the reason, if it's the exact same thing as Facebook, why would people go back to Twitter? I would like to see there still be a snapshot sort of thing, but you can expand into that, because I see so many people go tweet 1 of 3, tweet 2 of 3, tweet 3 of 3. And it's so annoying. But obviously people are wanting to do that. So just allow them to put the 10,000 characters or whatever and show me the first 160. And if I'm interested, I go boop there and I go.
There are so many applications that have expanded their character limit right in the past couple of years that I've been using different stuff. Like Spreaker is a great example. We're streaming on Spreaker right now. There was a title character limit before. They got rid of that and expanded it. It's the limit's still there, but they expanded it so you can have larger titles there. It was the block underneath the show notes block, basically. It was limited to something stupid like 500 characters or something like that. And you can expand it. One thing that I have issues with is the YouTube description block. It's limited to 5,000. And if you're doing larger show notes for whatever your video show, blog, podcast that you put up there, whatever, you have to shorten it to 5,000. And some people are like, well, that's fine. Well, not really. If YouTube really wants to grow and they want to be an aggregator of all that information, especially with Google Plus dying, you have to expand that in order to get all the relevant information and links in there for your show or whatever advertisement or whatever that you're throwing in there. Now, in some cases, you don't want a lot of stuff, but in a case like Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., when we go through a whole 30-minute news section, that's a lot of news stories to throw in there, and that I can't put any of them in because of the character limit.
And see, I'm okay with that. YouTube should expand that because of what it is they want to be. Twitter has never wanted to be write a book and show it on here. Twitter's all about short messaging. And I think in this case, sometimes you get more thought out of people that can only use 140 characters because they have to think of a way to condense what they're saying into that versus the people that just regurgitate whatever the hell they're thinking on Facebook and long. Facebook's like Tolkien, man. It's so detailed and long, and I stop caring. Twitter's like reading script directions. I get the basics of what I need to know, and if I want to find more, I click on a link and find out. And yes, I just took a Tolkien shot. Send all your hate mail to chris@gonnageek.com.
But with Twitter, if you follow too many people, like if you're trying to create a followership, one of the ways that they say to do that is follow other people and they'll follow you back or whatever. So if you subscribe to that, and I don't, but if you subscribe to that, and I've seen some people follow me with like 30,000 followers, like there's no way that you're watching your stream. There's no way you're getting anything out of that whatsoever.
No. And that's the problem. That's the ultimate problem with Twitter. That's the you can't follow random people because the random people after a while, that's why I don't use Twitter anymore. I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up with any information, and the only thing Twitter was giving me was that random news or informational tidbits. Like, okay, that's cool. And then but it was random, completely random.
The only way to I find that for me personally, I've tried to use the Twitter list as well, and it's too hard. You got to go in here and then in here. Like the Twitter list is a great idea if there was a better way to access them. Then you could sort it down because I'll be honest, there are days that I only care about my Gonna Geek podcast circle, and I don't care about anybody else at that point. And that's all I want to read. I want to catch up, or maybe just the podcasters.
Well, you know what Twitter made for that? There's lists. It's just it's not well advertised and not well showed off. Is you make a list of those things you care about.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But it's a pain in the ass to access. Yeah. It's not easy.
And in some of the areas that I have to access Twitter, I don't have easy access to those lists at all. And so then you have to cull your list down, your following list down to whatever it is that slows down the stream. You know, it depends on if you're following somebody that posts a lot or not. So I can't throw a number out there. I would say 125, 150, but if you have 150 people that are just, Rob Walsh over on Lipson's The Feed and Podcast 411, he has a great thing. He says, wipe front to back, right? The people that are literally telling you which way they're wiping. And you don't need to follow those people. But if you do, you're going to have to limit the people you follow to like 5 or 10. But if you are following reasonable accounts, you can go to about 150. And that's the limit of Twitter. It's basically a contact on your cell phone and a group message in a public forum. That's it.
But it seems completely counterintuitive when you have to start limiting or censoring or controlling your like you're straight up you're going into a software or you're going into a service where already you're limiting yourself. That to me sounds like a failed system.
No,
it's failed, and it's all. I mean, the markets are showing it's failed. It was predicted to be the next Facebook, and I mean, the stock is completely. I mean, they're not monetizing the system at all. They were supposed to do some type of like advertising system. They still haven't figured that out. I'll go straight up and say, mark my words, Twitter's going to die. Twitter is completely going to die. And you want to know why I think Twitter is going to die? Here's my reasoning behind this. Why Twitter is going to die is because the younger generation don't use it. You want to know why? Because their parents can follow them straight up without having to add them, or like there's no restriction option to block someone from following you, such as Instagram, where you can lock yourself and approve people from following you. That's
you can
why
do the same thing on Twitter.
Yeah, you can do that on Twitter.
Can you do that now? Okay.
They're using Snapchat though. That's what they're. Yeah, I can attest to it because that's what my kids are using.
But you can't see Snapchat. That, as a parent, you can't see what they're posting, and that's why they like it, because you can't see. The problem with that generation was, well, on Facebook, my parents can see what I'm doing. If I go out and get drunk and post drunk pictures, my parents are going to know, or whatever, right? People are going to know. Same with Twitter. Same, I guess, with Instagram in a way, but Instagram, you can block whoever follows you if you don't want them. You can make it private. But that's why Snapchat is the future. And that's why, in my opinion, Instagram currently is the new Twitter. To me, Instagram is a better product.
So here's the simple reason Twitter is going to fail eventually, because they have failed to properly monetize every time they've tried. Sponsored tweets isn't going to do it. Pulling in celebrities to talk about your stuff hasn't worked. They have not found a great way to monetize yet. That's the biggest problem. And in the future, that's what's going to bite them.
No, I agree.
It's interesting, the integration with Blab right now as well, because it's all Twitter based. So we'll see where that eventually leads. There's all sorts of indications on how they're going to monetize Blab, and maybe Twitter will buy Blab and then move ahead that way. I don't have any clue, but there are ways for Twitter to expand and save themselves basically and modernize for the future.
The Blab point's an interesting one, and I think part of the reason they went the Twitter route is because if you go back and look at Meerkat, it worked with both Facebook and Twitter accounts. You could hook in and get your friends and stuff on both. Then Periscope got bought. Excuse me, it was Periscope that worked with both. Then Twitter bought Periscope and made it Twitter only. So the fact of the matter is there's more people that are willing to link their Twitter account to things than Facebook accounts. And in today's world, if you support multiple things, whenever it gets bought out, you're going to lose one of those two. So they just went Twitter first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't disagree with what Suncast said in the chat, saying Blab has more issues than Twitter dying. But it's an early prototype thing. It's pretty good for what it is, I think.
Yeah, it's in beta, right? Like, and that's something that you know me, I've actually sent stuff on Blab all of one time, but it is in beta, and I have to say, for what it does, it's a good product. The biggest problem with Blab that I have is that it is a resource hog. I up until recently, I could not watch a Blab on my phone without it dying. My wife's laptop, which is only a few years old, it runs at like close to 100% CPU. But I did notice in the last week or so, I've been able to follow along on some Blabs on my phone without it dying. So either my phone's battery is magic, or they've made some tweaks.
It's the problem with Blab. The reason why it uses up so much resources, it's the video. The cameras we use now are too high resolution, and the processors, they can't keep up. I mean, I've experienced this exact issue with one of my clients recently, where they were trying to do video conferencing, and they had the exact C920 that we have, and they were running it on an Atom. They bought a small Atom computer just for that, and the computer couldn't take it. Once it was in full 1080p, 16 megabytes per second, it just went to crap. Especially with multiple people connecting, it just the bandwidth couldn't take it. The CPU didn't have enough bandwidth.
Right, and it's got a limited amount of RAM, limited amount of processing on board and stuff like that. I just want to go back to the Twitter conversation just a second. Cajun Sean said that install TweetDeck onto your PC and that will solve like your list issues. I will tell you, at work, there is no way that I'm getting the permissions to install TweetDeck on my PC, so it's not an option.
And that's what I was trying to comment on earlier as well. That's great, because that's exactly the point that I want to make, is that I want to go to your service and I do not want to have to use a third-party app to get the features that I want. And that's the problem. If I have to do that, I don't like that. I go to Facebook, I get the Facebook experience. I don't have all these other little things to run Facebook through. I go and I use Blab, I use the Blab site. I go and I use Instagram, I use the Instagram app. I don't want to have to use a third-party app to get my features. And that's because then you become too dependent on it. It's why personally I ended up switching my email years ago, because I wanted the same experience everywhere I went. I went to webmail because then I get that. But I guess we've harped on this enough. So we'd love to know what you have to say. So please give us a call at 567-343-GEEK. That's 567-343-4335. Give us a call there. Tweet us at Gonna Geek if you are over there. You can find us at Facebook at facebook.com/Gonna Geek. On Instagram at Gonna Geek. Don't even really use that much. Shh, soon enough. Or just go to gonnageek.com and comment on the latest show there. But
how am I not following Gonna Geek on Instagram? That's
because there's been like one picture ever, because nobody else has access, which now that I've put it on the title card, guess what? You guys are going to get a new account to use.
That's
yeah.
Because I use Instagram so much.
You do. You lie. I see you use it.
Well, let's just toss it over here to SP to finish off our news. Go ahead, SP.
Oh, I am following Gonna Geek. That's how bad that is.
I'm telling you, I think there's like one post ever.
Yeah,
well,
and it's Chris. It's Chris for real. Look.
Oh no, that was that's right. It was the duel. It was the duel Sunday morning. There was a live on the top and a live on the bottom. It was crazy.
Chris has a robo dick. Look, it's a robo dick.
Go ahead, SP.
Okay, so as long as we're talking about who's on top and who's on the bottom, and stay with me here because it's pertinent. The European Space Agency Comet probe Philae lander is basically declared dead. It failed to respond to the last-ditch efforts to communicate back and forth. Now, a little history here. The ESA sent the Rosetta space probe to Comet 67P, and it's got like some Russian name that don't ask me to pronounce it because I'm not going to do that at all. A while back, it rendezvoused with the comet in 2014, and it landed on the 12th of November 2014, which was all good, except for it bounced 3 times. And that put the lander on the dark side of the comet, or a shaded side of the comet. So the solar panels of the lander could not charge. So it had about 64 hours of battery life, and it returned some phenomenal science. It found some organic materials. It actually recorded the sound of the lander landing on the comet through sensors on the foot pads. It was just an amazing experiment. And it shows that these comets and asteroids might have some valuable resources on board, and thus space mining, asteroid mining, which will be great when that actually happens, might be economically feasible in the future. But they've been trying to get the thing back. And in June, July, the comet went close to the sun, and it allowed the solar panels to charge enough, even though it was in the shadowed region, that it was able to come to life a few times. And it died, I believe, in late July. I want to say the 25th or 27th. I don't actually have that date in front of me right now, but it died, and they have not been successful in getting contact back with the lander. So basically, it is no longer viable. Bye-bye, Philae. It was nice knowing you, and thank you for all the great science that you did in 64 hours. It is great. And if you want to hear a clip of it actually landing on the comet, you can go to SoundCloud, and they've got a 2-second clip up there. It's great.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I think though that it's sad to see this getting close to abandonment.
No, they'll in 200 years when we have spaceships, we'll pass by it and it'll be a tourist place.
Of course it will.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that. Voyager proved that, right? Wasn't there like 3 different things they found that went lost?
Well, there was Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, and then there were the Viking probes, which
No,
we'll all
I
get
meant
to.
Star Trek Voyager. They found a bunch of random, crappy 20th century things, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
I think
They did.
wasn't it a Klingon bird of prey that bumped into one of the Voyagers, and then the other Voyager came back as V'ger?
It did.
He
tried
does.
to,
That was in the motion picture, which is terrible. Terrible. So boring.
It's better than episode 1.
Or
With-
episode 7.
Without
Just kidding.
the motion picture, you would not have Wrath of Khan.
That's true.
Yeah, I can argue
Same.
with that logic through a lot of different ways, but okay. Okay. Chris, what do you think about this?
That's pretty cool. I like space. I'm bummed it's dead. And now I'm sad.
I like space.
Space.
Look, I'm not here for deep conversation. I did my deep conversation by talking about reproductive sciences, all right?
And talking about space, if you haven't started watching The Expanse on Sci-Fi Network, and I assume it's on Space Network or whatever up in Canada, if you haven't started watching it, pick it up. If you're a BSG fan, you will love this. If you like real science in space, you will love this. If you like interstellar politics, you will like this. If you like CSI type mysteries, you will like this. So go pick it up. It is available, I think, on sci-fi.com right now. The first 5 episodes are out. The second one, or the fifth one, the sixth one drops tomorrow night as we record this. So go pick it up before you're left behind. It is a great series. I was not prepared to like it because The Ascension dropped last year in 2014 at the same time. It was horrible. And I was like, The Expanse, really?
Yeah.
They're throwing that in the same time slot? I'm not going to like this. So I put it on the DVR and I let it roll. I was busy over the holidays and I got sick after the holidays and I was at home and I watched it. I was like, oh, why did I not see this when it was on? It is that good.
Yeah, and the science is supposed to be very close to true. They're supposed to be, they've researched most of the science. The science.
I don't like science. I don't believe in it. I've said that before. I'll say it again.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
It's
Quite
baby
wonderful.
Jesus,
Look at this
baby Jesus
glorious,
powers.
glorious, magical stuff surrounded by me.
Are you
There's
going
all
with
this-
a Thor argument that magic is just science we've yet to explain?
No.
Oh, well played, Marvel.
No,
Well,
the Rainbow Bridge is totally not science. It's totally not science.
Well, anybody got any final comments on this wonderful world of space?
It's called the Final Frontier, sir.
All right. Well, let's look into the final frontier. Should we do that?
oh,
Let's do
here's
it.
the
This
bump.
podcast. Let's do it.
Let's see if it's the right bump.
Alrighty, guess what is here? It is back. Steven's Geeky Stuff. Are you guys ready for another edition of Steven's Geeky Stuff?
Let's do it.
Always, because if we don't let you have it, you're just going to complain until you get to talk about it. So let's just get it over with.
That's true. That's true. Except I didn't play that bump, so now everybody just thinks that you're a dick, SP. So way to go. Way to go.
Well, I am a dick. I mean, come on.
Alrighty, so I recently came across a neat little app. Now, if you are familiar with myself, you are probably also familiar with Better Podcasting. It is a show that SP and myself do. If you're not
Never
familiar
heard
with
of
it, you should go to the Gonna Geek Network at gonnageeknetwork.com or just stare at SP's mug that he's holding up for product placement. And it is a show that we do. Now, this past couple weeks, we did some stuff on gear. We had the wonderful, wonderful suggestion in the chat, Cajun Sean. He suggested that we actually show our gear. Now, this happened after I ran through my gear on 1 week. Sean made that suggestion. So we set up a second camera for SP on the second week. So he could show over the shoulder all of his gear, which is really, really cool. This past week, we decided to do a extra edition of our gear discussion, and in there we were showing some of our setups, and what I ended up doing was I wanted to show mine because I didn't get a chance to do that, but I didn't have like 4 C920s like SP does. I know it's only 3. It's only 3. You're gonna argue that point, but you realize it doesn't sound that much better, so you just kept quiet. I could see it on your face.
Yeah, there's something else there too. We'll get to that later.
So I did not have the C920, so I thought to myself, you know what I do have? I have myself a Nexus 5 kicking around.
Wait, time out. You thought to yourself, this suggestion was made by moi. You weren't even thinking it. I said, well, you got an Android phone, don't you? You can make it work, can't you? That's what I said. And that's what happened. Steven didn't come up with this on his own. Come on, quit taking
Okay, so I went on the Google Play Store, and I ended up finding a couple different apps, and I found one that was put out by, it's called IP Webcam, and it's put out by Pavel KHLEBOVICH Media and Video. I have no idea how to say the last name. I won't even try. And what it allowed me to do was to take my Nexus 5, set it up, and stream it to my computer. And if you're following along on the YouTube side of things, you will see right there, I could flip over, and that is a live shot of my current podcast arena using the Nexus 5. Now, yes, you will see there is a slight lag, ever so slightly. I'm moving my hand randomly. I feel like you guys should be able to tell. You can also see that Chris is not on one of my screens because the TV rotates or goes between Chris and JS. And today I felt like having it on JS, but
he means JS is sexier.
That is very true. Very true.
The sexy French Canadian sensation.
Yeah. Now, I found that it actually worked really well. Now, what I really, really liked about this particular app is I will just go ahead and show you here that there is actually a separate control panel that gives you a variety of things that you can control. And that's what I really liked about it, is it gives you full access to control the zoom on the camera, the stream quality. I have it down quite a bit right now. The exposure, you can go in and you can flip on and off the LED flashlight. Like if I was to go in there, I could turn it on, and if you could see the same time right now, you would see the LED light came on the Nexus 5. You can turn it off. Just a lot of really great features, as well as several things that you can actually view it by. Right now, I'm using the browser mode on full screen. Full screen. But there's Java, there's JavaScript, there's a Flash component. You can have the audio on, just a whole bunch of other things that you can do, ways to control it. And I just found that it's a really, really nice little tool. So that is something that I'm quite happy with. And yes, I will say this. It does use quite a bit of resources. I have the quality down right now compared to where it was when I did Bitter Podcasting, because the higher quality was eating away the CPU. But you can also find yourself MJPEG, I believe it is Motion JPEG converter program, so that it can integrate in Skype and whatnot. You would have to use a secondary utility for it, but this worked really well. I've had it going this whole episode. I've did an episode with SP and hasn't crashed once yet. So so far looking pretty good, and I just wanted to give a shout out to it because it allowed me to add a second camera in this sort of scenario. Now here's the thing. What you'll need to remember is that there is a slight lag. So if you are going to use it for your main camera with Skype, you may end up finding that you go to talk and the person takes a little bit to react, just like a hair. If you look at the latest Better Podcasting 10, you will be able to see there's a side-by-side shot of me in the front and me on the side, and you'll be able to see how much of a lag there is. Not a hell of a lot, to be honest, but it is a slight one. So I just wanted to say that I enjoyed this software that I found.
Yeah, these side shots have been incredible to do. Really enjoyed it from a broadcaster perspective, and I'd be very interested to hear from the listener and the viewer how they like it as well, because when you go to that dual shot, you're getting a little bit behind the scenes, behind the curtain, which is great for us podcast producers because it's podcaster producer porn basically. But if you're just a regular viewer, maybe you don't care. So please let us know. But this is really neat technology now, and it's making studio quality video production available to the hobbyist or the amateur. So you don't need a TriCaster. You don't need a ton of gear, although, of course, it always helps. But this sort of stuff is amazing. That the stuff that we're doing right now on this thing would be like ESPN studio quality stuff, and we're doing it on a shoestring budget.
ESPN, I don't know, maybe Fox News. I don't know.
I mean, John's gear still cost him. I mean, just the amount of screens he has, shoestring budget. It's still. I mean, he's probably put in over $1,000 for sure.
Well, the thing that you got to remember, though, JS, is that in episode 10, and we'll just tease that, I do talk about the evolution of gear, and that's what a lot of and this audience, honestly, I know they're different audiences, so I'll just take a moment here to say, if you did see my stuff right now, I have worked up to it over the years. The couple monitors you see up high are ones that I use. I think I got them like close to 5-6 years ago, if not longer. My TV is actually a TV most of the week. So there was a build up to it, and I do outline that in details in Better Podcasting 10. But that's not what this is. This is not a plug for Better Podcasting at 10. It's a plug for Pavel Media and Video's IP webcam, a really, really neat app that I quite enjoyed. And Chris, I know you have yourself a couple of Androids kicking around. Maybe you want to go dig in and play with one. I know you've talked about doing a second shot.
So I've heard about this app before, actually. And if you're live right now, I put it in the chat room so you can go check it out for yourself. And the way I first heard about this app was actually as people using it as a baby monitor, a baby webcam, because they're like, everyone's got an old phone they generally have kicking around that they're not doing much with. Well, plug in your phone and you can use it as a baby video monitor for when you're out, or if you're just downstairs watching movies with your significant other and the baby's asleep, and you can just look down and get it at a glance. And heck, for the price, it's well worth just playing around with and seeing what works. And honestly, I'm pretty sure we all have a spare Android kicking around or two.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. There are several different webcam type apps, and I will say this, that universally on all of them, this one included, you will find sprinkled in reviews about it crashing, and that is something that me personally as a parent, if I read that, I would not trust it for the baby cam. However, I will also say this on this app here. I haven't tried this. I read a review of people who say that there is actually a way to go in and set it so that it auto starts on boot, which is something that might actually alleviate that problem if you were going to use it for a webcam or a baby cam. So maybe. But that's all that I have for Steven's geeky stuff this week. And I suppose that's going to go ahead and take us towards the end of episode 128. So before we do wrap up, I will let us all go around and do our 2016 plugs, because I didn't do this last week because we were short on time. But Chris, do you have anything that you would like to plug today?
So the question here is, do I selfishly plug or do I plug the network? I'm selfishly plugging. So get a chance, head on over to nerdalertnews.com. It's another podcast I do on the side. I've referred to it before as the Elusive Solo Podcast. It is a podcast with just myself telling people what I think is some of the coolest or most important nerdy news for the past week. I'm trying to do them more often than a week. It's just my free time has been eaten up more than I expected. But going on in 2016, I'm hoping to do more stuff, bringing in some guests from time to time and doing some panel-based stuff like I'd done early on with the Captain America Civil War trailer. So if you're looking for some quick, easy way to get a lot of the news, 15 to 20 minutes is each episode of Nerd Alert News, and you can find that over at nerdalertnews.com.
Awesome. And I'm curious, were you just controlling yourself this week, or did you carry on your New Year's resolution into 2016 to not talk about my mother?
I kind of forgot about that. I'm glad you mentioned it. I've broken myself of that habit so much that I didn't even think about any mom jokes. If you want, I can bring them back.
Whatever you want, Chris. I don't want to be a dictator here. Okay. That's not what I do.
Thank you, tater. Is that like a tater made out of penises?
Oh man, I've actually made that joke before, and I won't go there. It was a you had to be there sort of thing, but I have made that joke.
Anyone who's listening who is a talented artist, please make that picture and tweet it to the real JSH on Twitter.
And try to incorporate my face, like, in the tater.
Excuse me, I misspoke. The real underscore JSH on Twitter. I
That's
double
right.
check.
There's an underscore.
Exactly.
There's an underscore. I've
make sure
actually
you see
reinstalled
Gonna
Twitter.
Did you really?
You can Instagram it. Yeah, I reinstalled Twitter 2 weeks ago, and I'm annoyed of it. My phone keeps buzzing. I don't know why it's pushing. I'm going to disable push.
Yeah, I turned off push on my Twitter on purpose.
Yeah. All right, JS, you got anything you want to promote or plug?
Yeah, for 2016, I'm still going to plug nothing.
Awesome.
I thought he was going to say your mom, in all honesty.
Yeah, I thought so too.
That was
I thought
good
you set him up
constrainment.
just perfectly right there. And JS, I admire your self-restraint for not plugging his mother.
I agree.
It's okay. It's okay. You know what? The next time you see your mom with a smile on her face, you're welcome.
See, that's my resolution now. I'm not going to make the jokes. I'm going to set other people up to make them.
Oh, man.
Look what you've created, Steven. Look what you've created.
SP, do you have anything that you would like to promote or plug?
I will promote the fact that I will be guest co-hosting Ask the Podcast Coach this Saturday. It's a show that Dave Jackson and Jim Collison usually do. It's a podcast question and answer sort of show. It's over on Blab. It is at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time on Blab. You can go to askthepodcastcoach.com, go to the live page, and it will take you to the Blab. So I will be co-hosting it with Dave because Jim Collison will be away for the week. So go check that out. It should be a lot of fun.
Look at you moving on up, ditching me already. It's okay. It's okay.
Don't keep bringing it up. You're the booger that I just can't flick from my finger right now. Jeez.
Gross.
By that, he means the network, not just you.
That's it. I'm walking away. I'm done. Done. And I will just go ahead and promote all of the Gonna Geek Network at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. There are a ton of shows coming back now. The ball is now rolling, and I know this is like 3 episodes in a row. We've talked about it, maybe 4. But yes, Unqualified Gamers has finally rebranded. They are now live on the site under Game Life Balance US. So it will be part gaming, part life. It will be a balance of the two. So,
wow, how insightful and deep.
It will literally be a balance of the two.
Right. But that's going to go ahead and take us towards the end of episode 128. So, for episode 128 of the GonnaGeek.com podcast, I love me some dictators.
I am not the director of SNASA.
I'm getting me a sperm switch.
Yeah, if you see your mom smoking, you're welcome for that too.
Bye!
Look what you did!
From everyone here at the GonnaGeek.com podcast, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We encourage you to send your feedback by email to podcast@GonnaGeek.com. You can find all of our show history at GonnaGeek.com/official podcast. And while you're there, why not head over and check out all of the geeky podcasts on the Gonna Geek Network. The music heard on this show is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next week.